This is the Kick-Ass Geek Cast with your host, Daddy Warpig. I am back. That's right, it is Friday, November 7th, 2014. The Kick-Ass Geek Cast, of course, as always, broadcasting to you live from a secret bunker deep underneath the House of Geekery. Catch us online at daddywarpig.com, daddywarpig.com, or you can follow me, your host, on Twitter at daddy_warpig, at daddy_warpig. As usual, we have a massive show for you tonight, so I'm going to have to move really fast just to get through it all. Earlier today, your host, got double-teamed by a pair of trolls working not in tandem but separately. They both decided to jump me at the exact same time for completely separate reasons. I politely responded to one, I blocked the other, I moved on. And then I saw a curious comment in my feed where someone had said that I was a cult leader. And I said, who? So I went trolling around, and yes, indeed, it was that same exact troll. He accused me of being a wannabe cult leader. He accused me of having minions, and I was offended. I am not an evil overlord, but I would like to think that if I was to become an evil overlord, that I could do better than mere minions. I would like to think that I could maybe rustle up some actual thugs or even henchmen. For God's sake, if all you have is minions, you're a pretty pathetic evil overlord. And then I thought, wait, no, not minions, not thugs, not henchmen, because I'm not an evil overlord, but warriors. Yes, that's right. Warpigs, warriors. That's perfect. If any of these trolls come gathering around the House of Geekery, we can say, yes, there they are. Warpigs, warriors. You should live in fear. And after announcing this on Twitter, people were asking not if they could be members, but what kind of uniforms and weapons would they be getting? Well, I have to tell you officially that if you are a member of Warpig's Warriors, it is an all-volunteer force. And the only uniforms approved are whatever clothes you feel like wearing at the time. As long as you don't tell me about it, I'm okay. I don't need to know. As for weapons, the only weapons Warpig's Warriors need are correct facts lodged, stored in my razor-sharp mind, plus the experience and knowledge that you yourselves bring to the table. So if you happen to see a troll accusing me of being a would-be cult leader, and let's just pause for a second and analyze that. It occurs to me to bring logic into a completely illogical situation that there are far larger figures in Gamergate, in this pro side, who have way more followers than I do. So you would think you would want to go to those people and charge them with being a would-be cult leader, not me. He has declared that he will be my nemesis. Yes, I now have a nemesis, a troll who has made it their life's mission to take me down because I'm a would-be cult leader, I want to say this. Not only do I entirely disclaim cult leadership status, I am given to understand from watching news specials about cult leaders like David Koresh or Jim Jones that it's a really busy position. You're trying to run the lives of 50, 60, 100 different people or more. And I will be honest, even were I the sort of person who would be inclined to become a cult leader, it just sounds like too much damn work. I've got a life to live. I've got video games to play. I don't have time to tell other people what to do with their lives, which I suppose is what sets me off from the social justice warriors, but I'll get back to that in a minute. So I am officially announcing Daddy Warpig's non-candidacy for the post of cult leader. If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. And that is my official platform, not me. But for those of you who wish to be underlings or minions or henchmen or whatever, you feel free to call yourselves Warpig's Warriors and to dispense accurate information. In fact, there are 4 things you can feel free to do. The first one of which is boycott corrupt sites. The second one of which is politely email sponsors. And we'll get back to that in a second. The third one of which is spread good info. And the fourth one of which is don't touch the poop. By which we mean don't feed trolls. There's also a fifth one that's kind of obvious that I probably don't have to tell you. Never give up. Never surrender. So like me, as soon as this person came on my screen, I blocked him. So I missed all of these delightful comments. I had to go back and discover them later. I have a link to them if you're truly, truly interested in my nemesis. If you want to see the absolute fury that I sparked. Now, it is a temptation. I'll drop it in the description. It's a temptation to say, oh, those nasty aunties. I would like to say this. I don't actually think, despite all the crap this person says, I don't actually think this person is a real auntie. I think they're another troll because they created an account just this morning, and the very first thing they did was jump into an argument with Mike Cernovich, play dangerously, and then presumably we're either getting beaten or getting ignored, block a whole bunch of people, and then try to jump into an argument with me, whereupon I blocked him. I don't think this is necessarily a real auntie, but he certainly is a real jerk. So I've dropped the link to that in the description. You can take a look at it later. Speaking of dropping things, nice segue, huh? Speaking of dropping things, we just got word today from the Canada's herself that Dyson, the vacuum cleaner company, I presume, dropped ads with Gawker, which pleases me to no end because I am one of the people that is of the opinion that we should do everything we can to impact Gawker's bottom line, not just because it will help advance Gamergate, not just because it will help advance the cause of ethics in journalism, though it will, but because it will help clean up the internet. It will take off one of the worst internet companies, one of the worst media conglomerates that operates on the internet. And I, for one, will be happy to see them go, and so will a lot of other people. So, the word that Dyson dropped their sponsorship is, it makes me smile. I won't lie. It makes me happy. It makes me want to look at the world as a better place. It makes me feel joy deep inside my heart. It makes me want to watch Disney movies and Listen to the Little Orphan Annie soundtrack, I tell you, it makes me just so darn happy. If you want to help get Gawker, I have dropped the links to Operation Baby Seal and Operation Prime Rib into the description. Check those out. If there's anything you can do to help, please do it. They own Kotaku, and so all of the bad stuff that falls underneath the Kotaku banner comes from them. And as well as a number of other things that are just really disturbing and distasteful to even mention. In fact, I've done it before. I don't want to do it again. So, if you want to take down Kotaku, help get Gawker. Now, the question you may ask is this: Jason, why would we want to take down Kotaku? That's a good question. And fortunately, I have for you a good answer. And the answer begins with this: BlizzCon. All right, what's BlizzCon? BlizzCon is the big gaming convention that Blizzard Games holds. Blizzard Games, and you know this, being gamers, listening to this show, I'm going to do it anyway, just in case. Blizzard Games publishes StarCraft, it publishes Warcraft, it publishes World of Warcraft. They are a massive, and other games too. They are a massive gaming company, and BlizzCon is a chance for them to come out and present their future plans, which are always in danger of being either postponed or canceled. Hello, StarCraft Ghost. Present their future plans and get together for people to celebrate gaming. Well, in the interests of celebrating gaming, the CEO, the president and CEO of Blizzard, Michael Morhaime, began his presentation at BlizzCon with the following quotes. I'm just going to read this bit to you. I'd like to take a moment to talk about something serious. Over the past couple months, there's been a small group of people who have been doing really awful things. They've been making some people's lives miserable, and they have been tarnishing our reputation as gamers. It's not right. BlizzCon is a great example of how positive and uplifting gaming can be. Let's carry the good vibes from this weekend out into the world all year round. There is another person on the other end of the chat screen. They're our friends, our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters. Let's take a stand to reject hate and harassment. Let's redouble our efforts to be kind and respectful to one another, and let's remind the world what the gaming community is really all about. Now, to my mind, being your host and having the razor sharp mind that I do, that seems to me to be a fairly straightforward statement. Let's not bully, harass each other. Included in that is even worse forms of online harassment like cyberstalking, doxing, death threats, swatting, and so forth and so on. I thought that was a fairly reasonable statement. I agree with every single word he said. It was awesome. It was great. But apparently, that wasn't enough for Kotaku. Kotaku posted a story on their website. Blizzard CEO addresses Gamergate saga and everything but name. Now, Jeff Keighly, who is, surprise, a games journalist, thanked the CEO in an interview after this address and said, "It felt so amazing addressing Gamergate like that." And the CEO gave him this look. And you have to see the photos. There's several of them flying around the hashtag. You have to see the look on his face. It's this small little smile of frustration. And if you can find the video of it, it's even better. He's looking at the guy as if he's thinking in the back of his mind, "You just totally missed the point of everything I said. You just didn't get it." And looking at that look on his face, you know that what he meant by that address was not to criticize the pro side, people who are pro ethics, people who are pro gaming, people who are pro gamers. What he meant to do is to decry harassment no matter where it comes from, which seems to me to be an eminently reasonable position, an eminently reasonable belief, one I share. But that isn't good enough for games journalists like Keighly and like Kotaku. Kotaku posted a deliberately misleading headline. They're trying to make people think that Mike Morhaime was criticizing the pros solely and specifically and exclusively because in the back of their mind, pros are evil, vile misogynists who issue death threats, and antis are good and noble and virtuous people who never do anything wrong. So of course they assume that this is all about criticizing the pros, and a bunch of live bloggers assume this was all about criticizing the pros. And it went out across the hashtag, hey, Mike Morhaime just jumped out and criticized the pros. Did not happen. Did not happen. Watch the videos of the speech. Watch the videos of the interview afterwards. You will know it did not happen. Stephen Totillo, the editor of Gawker, I believe he's the editor-in-chief of Gawker, came out in a statement saying, well, you know, he was defending the misleading headline. Well, you know, when people refer back to this period of time, they'll be calling it the Gamergate saga. So we're not really insinuating or implying or almost stating outright that he criticized the pros. No, that's not what we're doing at all. It's a lie. And it was brazen. He didn't even try to hide it. It wasn't even a well-covered lie. You look at him and you think, why are you that dishonest to publish a headline that you know for a fact is misleading and then try and defend it with sleazeball tactics? It's obvious why. They're trying to make the pros look bad. And that is Kotaku. So, Kotaku, part of Gawker, that's why we are targeting Gawker, because Kotaku absolutely refuses to clean up their act. But the great thing is this, the awesome thing is this. In the comments to that article, a great many Kotaku readers asked what the hell was up with Gamergate. I want to read one of these comments to you because it's awesome. Kind of off topic-ish, but I'm quoting now. I keep hearing about how Gamergate is a horrible, horrible place full of horrible, horrible people. Yet I've never seen a single comment by Gamergate people that wasn't level-headed and calm. Yet anybody who goes against Gamergate seems to call them the spawn of the devil and sexist and so forth. Worse still, I keep seeing clear, concise evidence that Gamergate is not associated with sexism and harassment, but every time a news outlet shows proof that is associated with it, the claim is completely debunked. I don't know what to believe. Really, can anybody show me clear, concise proof that Gamergate is actually the so-called evil that everybody claims it to be? I'm not saying this in defense of Gamergate because I really don't know what the heck is going on here. I'm asking for evidence because I feel really left out of the loop. And this is not the only one. Just in the short time that I perused the comments, there were a great number of people who said almost exactly the same thing. Hey, I heard all this crap about Gamergate. Hey, I am confused. Why? What's going on? Can I get some more information? It is amazing and heartening to see that even in the very den of corrupt media journalism, people are spreading truth. They're asking questions. They're being rational. They're comparing the news they're getting with what people are saying and trying to see exactly what's going on. And I love that. I love it when people are curious, are intelligent, are inquisitive. When they go out of their way to get good information, I love it, because every single time that they go out of their way to get good information that will lead them to the hashtag, that will lead them probably to the Ivy Clover, and that will lead them to us. And then they can learn who we really are. And we show enough people, show enough gamers who we really are, our numbers will continue to grow. If our numbers continue to grow, we become more and more successful against pushing back against unethical journalism. And so by publishing a misleading article that the headline leads you to misinterpret everything that comes after it, because think of that speech I just gave. Imagine that the very first thing you read about it, right, that very first tidbit of information colors your experience with all the other information you receive after that. That very first tidbit in this case is Blizzard CEO addresses Gamergate and everything but name, and then you got this big speech about harassment. And so the only logical conclusion that you are meant to draw is, oh, Gamergate is all about harassment and misogyny. That's the way they set it up. That's the way they wanted to run it. And that's even in their own house. People are questioning that line because it's so blatant. It's so blatant that even people who don't know anything about Gamergate look at them and go, wait, are you sure? Because that doesn't make any sense to me. And I love it. I love to see it. I want to throw out a quick hat tip to the person who brought that to my attention, which is To Know Is To Be on Twitter. Thank you for passing that along. Now, you may wonder at the beginning of the show, when I announced that I now have a bitter rival, a nemesis who wants to hurt me, who wants to teach me a lesson, you may wonder what it was that set them off. Why is it that out of the blue this morning, they suddenly decided that I, your host, needed to be confronted, needed to be corrected, needed to be taken down a peg or two? Well, there was, and hold on to your seats because this is going to be the shock of all shocks. You simply will not be able to believe what I am about to tell you. Macintosh said something stupid. Yes, no, it's true. I know some of you just fainted from shock, but this really, honestly happened this morning. Macintosh said something stupid. And I, your host, was moved to comment on this point. I, your host, was moved to analyze, to understand, to display some of the truths that I have learned about what he was saying, about what he was doing. The Macintosh and others like him are known as SJWs, and I mentioned that earlier in the show, and this is where I'm getting back to it. SJWs are social justice warriors. Now, I don't know if that's a term that one of them coined at some point, meaning it to be serious, or if that's a term that somebody else coined to describe them. They are slacktivists. That is, they are people who don't do a lot in the real world to advance the causes that they espouse But they spend a lot of time on the internet hurling insults and smears at those who disagree with them. Slacktivists, typically hipster slacktivists, and as we have seen with Brianna Wu, with Zoe Quinn, with Macintosh himself, typically the children of very wealthy families who therefore don't have to do much with their lives because their material comforts are taken care of. And they are also, by and large, hypocrites. They say one thing and they do something entirely different. And the question that I wanted to answer, that bubbled up from the depths of my razor-sharp mind, was why? What is it that causes them to act this way? So here's the rant I posted in several parts that prompted this random individual to declare themselves to be my nemesis. Macintosh and others adopted beliefs that make them feel virtuous while being utter shits. That was the beginning. It wasn't gentle, I will confess. It wasn't meant to be. For example, watch Sark videos, feel like a saint, while at the same time heaping abuse on the women of Not Your Shield. Criticize Far Cry 4, feel morally superior, while dismissing and mocking gamers of every race on the planet who are pros. And in specific, he criticized Far Cry 4 for racism, while at the same time dismissing and mocking people of various races who are pros. Now, not all of these things are things that Macintosh himself did. This is just a laundry list of SJW things. This is the entire point of their ideology. Do whatever you want, whenever you want, while feeling morally superior to other people. No need to help the poor. You just say the right things. No need to be kind to those you disagree with. You just say the right things. Catholics used to sell indulgences. Give the church money, get your sins forgiven, and go sin again. The SJW ideology allows them an infinite number of indulgences for something essentially free. Saying the right things. Beat women bloody in the bedroom? If you're an SJW, forgiven. Pay women 66% of men? If you're an SJW, forgiven. Unleash a racist rant? If you're an SJW, forgiven. Demean and mock homosexuals and the transgendered? If you're an SJW, forgiven. Do anything you want, including confessing to a murder. SJW, forgiven. That's the appeal. Do anything and get away with it. One last thing. You get forgiven, plus your fellow SJWs will utterly ignore your actions. Beat up many women in the bedroom over the course of years. Nobody says nothing. Do anything you want, get forgiven. Feel superior to everyone else. SJW Omerta protects you from all the consequences. No wonder people love it. No wonder these SJW journalists hate us, Gamergate, because we've exposed their hypocrisy and lies. We discovered their secrets and broadcast them. We've shown that many, not all, but many, are just not the good people they claim to be. Those people, the guilty, will hate us forever. So when you analyze the actions of Kotaku, the actions of Rock, Paper, Shotgun, or all of these other corrupt media organizations, and ask, why are they so vitriolic? Why are they so angry? Why are they so hateful? It's because we have pulled off the veil that was covering their illicit deeds. We have which they expected to be excused, which they expected to be ignored, which they expected all of their cabal to wink at and nod at and let go. We have shown who they are. We have shown what they're doing, and they are filled with rage because of it. So when they hurl hateful insults, when they laugh at you, when they mock you, when they demean you, when they slander you, when they defame you, just know it's because you're doing the right thing and not letting them get away with what they've always gotten away with. That's why they hate you. I am Daddy Warpig, the host of the Kick-Ass Geek Cast, broadcasting live from the House of Geekery, daddywarpig.com, daddywarpig.com. Follow me on Twitter at daddy_warpig, at daddy_warpig. Oh, and one last thing. If you like the show, if you love the show, if you want to hear more of the show, I know I ripped that off from a country song. Sorry. Subscribe right there at the top of the screen, or at the bottom, use one of those 30 different social media buttons to spread the word about the Kick-Ass Geek Cast. Let your friends know how good this show really is. I am Daddy Warpig, your host, signing off. I will be back.